Above all else, fragrances are made to be worn, but many of us also really enjoy collecting pretty bottles and displaying them. Most of us probably agree that perfumery is an art, but the art of perfumery is not just an olfactive one. It is oftentimes just so visually stimulating to look at that the perfume bottle design should also be taken into consideration. It's part of the art. Think of iconic perfume bottle designers like René Lalique, the Art Nouveau jewelry designer and glassmaker, who designed these beautiful Lalique bottles. These are just minis and not real glass, or at least the top part isn't. But Lalique actually teamed up with François Coty to spice up the more traditional, boring perfume bottles. And there are many more really talented perfume bottle designers. Artists like Alan Jones come to mind, or Salvador Dalí, the Catalan surrealist. There are some really beautiful gems. Point is, perfume bottles are pretty, and it's fun to display them, but it's also fun to keep them safe and increase their lifespan. The best way to store them is, of course, away from heat, humidity, and light. So behind closed doors in their original boxes is probably the best idea of preserving the scent for as long as possible is your main goal. But I admit that I just love looking at my fragrances too much to keep them tucked away. So my main goal is to find a balance between displaying them nicely, but still preserving them as long as possible, in the best way possible. Now, to get a varied, broad selection of the way people display their fragrances, I included some clips by YouTubers, Instagrammers, viewers, friends, and even a perfumer, just to see how everyone displays or stores their fragrances. Now, do keep in mind that the clips you're about to see, that most of these people are deep into the fragrance hobby and have a much larger collection than most. So I do want to make clear that this is by no means intended to encourage unhealthy buying habits or to make anyone feel like their collections are inadequate. The main incentive for this video was just to give some inspiration about shelving and cabinets and display and storage ideas, and because most of all it's just eye candy, perfume porn. I will be making a video on the art of the perfume bottles and the prettiest bottles one of these days, and there's also a video coming up on how to apply fragrances with a bit more background than just applying it to pulse points and such. So do check that out if you are curious at all to see that. And so, and my clip will be at the end of this video after all these wonderful people show their collections.
Hello, this is Peter from the channel Fragrance View, and this is how I store my fragrances. This is my bookcase. My fragrance collection is basically the top shelf of the bookcase. And you can see in there, I have an LED strip at the back just to make it pretty for the videos, but turn that off during the day. There's also an LED strip at the front which is unplugged at the moment, but that's really just for the aesthetics of the videos on YouTube. That's it, it's just in the corner of the room away from direct sunlight, and yeah, that's my collection.
People, trusted Noel's here. So you want to see my collection? Look, you sure? Come. I'll show you. It's small, but sharing is caring. All right, let's go.
Unfortunately, my room is too small for me to display my fragrances, but I do have a drawer underneath my bed in which I keep all my fragrances. Like I always say, if the box and the presentation is beautiful, I keep it. Got the 10 out of 10 by Killian Black Phantom over here. Got my Clive Christian. I keep my samples separately, so I've got a small box here. So my atomizers over there. There's a lot of samples in here.
I'm Noel with Noel's Frags, and I'm going to tell you guys how I store my fragrances. As you can see behind me, there's a few on the shelf. But that's just for display purposes. That's for you guys out there in TV land.
But where I actually store them is in a giant pile underneath my bed so I can guard them like a dragon. You see, the trick is a cool, dark place. What's a cooler, darker place than a giant pile underneath my bed? I sleep on top of them. I always know where they are.
Hi, it's Claire from the Smurfy Gurly channel, and these are my Lush perfumes, and I keep those on this wall shelf in my bedroom, so it's just above my bed. This is a shelving unit in my spare room, so you've got books in the top row and the smaller travel size type things and odd things on this shelf here. I'm still in that spare room and behind this door in this closet. So most of this is out of season, not all of it, but this isn't my main rotation at the moment. So you've got 4 160s altogether on the top. My Guerlains are on the top shelf, and then more freshies down in the lower area. We're downstairs, so under where my TV is my rotation for the current season. So really autumn, winter now. So a lot of these are quite dark, rich and sweet. Now some more full bottles. This is a tray where I usually put the things on I'm focusing on at the moment or things I need to review. And there's my Miss Dior collection and a Naked Smurf and some dead flowers. When it comes to storing samples, things are pretty messy over here, but they are A to Z in these drawers. So they've all got little stickers on, and that relates to the house or the brand, not the name of the perfume. And they are all fairly full, these drawers. It's a bit crazy. And yeah, there's the mess of my life.
Hi guys, I'm Jolima from Scented Moments YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Eva, for inviting me to be part of this collab video. So pretty quickly, this is how I store my fragrances. These fragrances are in a very dark, cool, dry room. So this is my top shelf. This is some Nichane fragrances. Love this brand. Portrait of a Lady, Masterpiece. Parfum Roma, love this brand. This is my second shelf. And to be quickly, I will just show you my Guerlain, how I store my Guerlain collection. More fragrances over there, and Serjoff over here, and more fragrances here.
Hi, this is my perfume cabinet. Inside I am storing 39 bottles. Here are dark ones, white and silver, colorful ones, and here are my samples and big boxes. They are stored behind the glass. It's around 8:30 in the morning, so there's not much light, and during the day temperature doesn't change much, so they should be safe. Thank you for watching.
But if you know anything about perfumers, they're kind of obsessed with the way they organize stuff. So this month it's my alphabet, but sometimes I'll do like ambers, and then I'll do like citruses and minty materials, and then all patchoulis, and then all sandalwoods. So the way I actually put my materials together in these drawers, it changes every once in a while. And I do that strategically, just as a way of really deepening my relationship with the materials. And there's been all sorts of articles and theories written about how perfumers should organize their materials, but it's really personal preference. There's no right or wrong way. And then over here, actually, in the fridge, I've got a little miniature fridge. I keep the top notes in a little fridge here. There's my ferret. He keeps trying to go in there. Get out of there. And I organize and I keep them cool because they're cooler and fresher and brighter and more diffusive and just better. So I keep my top note material.
Hi everyone, I would like to thank Fragrance Test Tube for having me in this collaboration. So it is to show how do you store your fragrances. So I have this one part which is inside a cupboard. I keep all my decants and others, all those small bottles in here. These are a few custom fragrances that I've gotten made from my trips across the world. More custom fragrances from Indian perfume houses, and a lot more decants in the back. And let me show you where do I keep the full bottles. So for the full bottles, I have this box and it's about 8 to 10 inches deep. And this is where I keep all the full bottles. You will be able to recognize, of course, Mr. Cologne's here. He sent me some decants, so they're here. And many bottles are recognizable by their iconic shapes and logos. And see, the idea behind this box is that it stays away from any heat. It stays in the dark, there is not much light, it stays cool. And most of all, it stays dust free. And that reduces a lot of my work of cleaning the bottles.
Alright, Miss Fragrance Test Tube. This is how Sancho stores his fragrances. There you go.
Hi Eva, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for inviting me to this collab. As you see, part of my fragrance collection, I save and I are protected by, this big piece of wood. So they're pretty much like that, like that, like that. So they're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 compartments like that. I don't show you the ones above because there's another part of my collection. Yeah, pretty much I save the users, I protect the users that way. I have my sampling system here, and as you can see, there's a lot of samples. Some of them they're like evaporate, so you have to be careful because it can become very oily when the alcohol goes away. So you need to put something like, for example, like this, to protect it that it's not evaporated. So yeah, pretty much this is my sampling section basically, and some like the infamous, the corner of the infamous over there. But this is just my decants, that's how I test it. For example, this Meow, Monsieur. So there's some fragrances that I don't really need it as much as just like this, So yeah, that's pretty much it. So when you come to visit us here in Miami, you will see the rest of the tempting collection that is above. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I tried to keep myself humble and not waste too much money on fragrances. And I keep mine in a shoebox until recently. Keeps all my out of season stuff in the box, and then my in season stuff on the box because I start getting a bit full. Samples and all that. Not all of them could stand up in the box. But I got this the other week. A carton that some clementines came in, and I thought immediately, take all the bottles out, put them on this, fit nice on top of the box, sits on a shelf. That's that really.
Hey everyone at Fragrance Test Tube, just want to show you what my setup is like for fragrance storage. So I have a couple of these shelves from IKEA that kind of just absorb light, and that's really optimal because of course it needs to be primarily in a non-lit / dark area that's also dry, so it's pretty dry down here. And I said down here, so I'm in my basement, so it's also cool and not too subject to temperature change. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Those are things that you want to look out for. And on top of that, I think I have quite the pretty setup. I can turn off these lights with a press of a button. And yeah, big fan of perfume. As you can see, find me everywhere at Cascade Scents. That is YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, thank you. And thank you, Fragrance Test Tube. Cheers.
G'day everyone. Cabinet displays. How do I store my fragrances? It's a bit of a mess at the moment, very crowded. In the future, we do have a dedicated relaxation perfume topper room that we're going to set up, which we'll show you all in the near future. But for now, here is my mess. Okay, at the moment, this is my overcrowded cabinet. We've got my wife's fragrances here. Plenty. Yep, she has more than what I do. Mine. Boom. That's just our cabinet at the moment. And she's also got all her Lolitas, whatever you want to call those, Jean Pauls. She's got Aliens, all of Mugler collection. Then my mess. This is my overflow. Good old Zaharovsky. Plenty. You can never have enough space. So that is my mess for now. Soon to be upgraded. Thanks guys. Peace.
Salutations! Thank you so much for having me part of this collab. This is a really cool idea. So I'm going to talk to you real quickly a little bit about my cabinet situation. It's going to change. So for right now, I have 4 cabinets, 2 full size, and then 2 half cabinets, and these all house my fragrances. The one in the middle is where I kind of house the ones that mean the most to me, are the most expensive, and it's just because my cats come in here and so they kind of climb on the cabinets, so having the doors closed help so much. And I kind of pan out a little bit and show you guys my cabinet setup. I do like to reorganize this quite frequently, but yeah, this is my little display how I store my fragrances currently, and it's going to change soon and I'm really excited for that. So thanks for having me be a part of this video, and now for the goods. And yeah, can't wait to see how everybody else displays their stuff.
This is Joss Jane, and thank you so much, Eva, for letting me show off my collection here. So I don't have anything very fancy for my storage solution here. I just have a dresser. This is where I keep my seasonal stuff, and I really like to look, I love bottles, so I kind of keep them out. And so that's most of them. Just the top drawer of that same dresser. This is where I keep my out-of-season perfumes, my travel sprays. The honeycomb thing is kind of cool. I got that on Hotlook, which is a flash sale site run by Nordstrom. So it's kind of like Nordstrom Rack, but I think you can pick these up on Amazon. Just search for honeycomb drawer organizer. Anyway, thank you again, beautiful Eva, for including me in this. If you have any questions about my collection or my setup, feel free to comment on one of my videos.
Hey guys, so this is Aaron from A Fragrant Journey, and I just wanted to show you all where I store my scents. So I store them all in these 2 drawers, and the reason I do this is because I'm keeping them in a dark, temperature controlled area. Now, if you don't have drawers, you could put them in a wine cooler, just someplace that's dark and where the temperature doesn't drastically change. So here I have a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. I have samples, some designer, some cheaper stuff, and here I have my niche stuff and some higher end designer. But anyways, that's about it, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.
Hey everyone, it's Tara from Olfactofiles, and first I just want to say thanks for including me. And here is how I store my fragrances. They are all on this bookshelf. There are 4 levels, and each level has literally just a spice rack that is tiered so that you can see all of the different fragrances at once, which is nice because it helps me not forget about things. There's the lowest level there. And yeah, so this room doesn't get a lot of light, stays pretty cool. So, you know, it works out. Could it be better? Maybe, but at least it's pretty. All right, thanks again. Bye.
Hey everybody, Benjamin here, Centaur Fragrance. Thank you, Fragrance Test Tube, for having me in your collaboration of sorts. I keep everything in the boxes and I protect everything with a high quality curtain, but I have things organized by seasons, you know, spring to summer to fall to winter. Then I have my niche on the corner, my specialty fragrances that are kind of whenever I want to wear them. And I do have some more fresh, fancy fragrances right here set to the side for fancy occasions. So that's how I do it. A little bit chaotic. I have to open the box every time, but I enjoy having my fragrances very safe and secure, knowing that they smell great, and that matters a lot to me. And it's kind of like opening a present every time. So here it goes, guys. Here's another quick show. Have a happy holidays, everybody. Wonderful holidays. Be safe, everybody. Peace out.
Hello everybody, I'm Mehdi from Mehdi Scent channel. Thank you Eva for having me in this video. The topic was how you display your fragrances. Here I display the major part of my fragrances. Also I will show you my backup bottles and samples. Here also I have my samples and few backup bottles. Thank you again for having me in this video. Have a nice day.
What's up guys, and Merry Christmas. This is Cam from Carolina Fragrance Reviews. As a YouTuber, fragrances can get scattered because my studio is on the other side of the house. There's still fragrances in there, but I'm gonna go ahead and share with you the majority of my shelving. Some of it is not completely in place because I'm constantly moving things back and forth, but yeah, it stays around 68 degrees in here, so that seems to do pretty well. I'll give you guys a quick sneak peek. as we go to the top shelf here. And of course, this does change. I've got my Tom Ford collection, Killian Juice Box, Tiziana Terenzi, and Imaginary Authors. And we got a little mixture here of designer. Well, actually, I think all these are designers. We got some Yves Saint Laurent, we've got some Givenchy, Chanel, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Thierry Mugler, Issey Miyake, Armani, and some of this is self-explanatory. I mean, you see the creeds, see this, you know. No need in really getting into every single brand. I used to actually go by like gourmands. Now they're pretty much just separated by brands for the most part, but even that doesn't always work out the way I like it. Now, like all these down here are either Tom Ford or Killian decants, and there's actually even some refills back there. I don't know if you guys saw it, but up top I do have some flacons up here as well. I am going to make me a little space over here for my top shelf. I have a brand that I'm looking forward to sticking up there, and lots of misplaced designers up here for now. Unfortunately, not nearly as organized as the other, but as it goes, that's what it does. And then still stuff that needs to be put away, and then there's always the stuff in the studio as well. I appreciate you guys. Love you all. Merry Christmas.
Hey, it's Hill from the BurrEAU Nerdy Fragrance Reviews. As my channel name suggests, I'm a bit of a nerd, so I keep all of my fragrances in TARDISes. Now, I actually have 3. I have this big bad boy, and I have 2 smaller ones. One smaller one is just for designer fragrances, and originally the other small one was supposed to be for indie, but it's kind of gotten out of hand, so it's spread out between this large one and that one with indie and niche. I love these boxes just because they are dark, so no light is getting into these fragrances, and my house is temperature controlled, so there isn't much temperature variation throughout the year. So although these boxes aren't exactly fancy, they certainly fit my aesthetic, and they're one of those things that just make me happy and are a huge part of my channel. So yeah, that's how I store my fragrances. Thank you so much for having me on, Eva, and I'll catch you all next time. Toodles!
What's up, YouTube? Eugene here, and this is my collection on display in just very basic white IKEA bookshelves, and this is exactly what I was looking for. This is what I was going for, is this type of look, which is very simple, clean, minimalist, and it reflects a lot of light from this white. That's something that I wanted, and I wanted to stay away from big, clunky, chunky type storage stuff with mirrors and drawers and cabinets and wood grains and that 80s type furniture, if you know what I mean. So this is what I got, so hope you enjoy this.
Hey everyone, this is Dave with Fragrance Bros. Thank you for having me on. Now this, of course, is my collection. It's under a sink in a bathroom, and this is all my main collection right here. These are all my main fragrances that I usually consider ones that I keep. And as you can see, I have tons of Imaginary Authors and Dior, Atelier Cologne, lots of different great ones here. Now, I have a drawer as well, an armoire, where these on top of this armoire, kind of a junk drawer, where all of the ones that I need to shoot go on top. So there you have an armoire that I need to shoot, a Christian Provenzano Patchouli Noir. Get in there. Now here is Triumph of Bacchus by Argos that I need to shoot, Parfums de Marly, Neanderthal, of course, Cactuar, 10 out of 10, and Parfums 06130. These are all ones that I need to shoot. And of course, inside the drawers, I have tons of fragrances as well. Some of them I just need to store, get rid of, or, you know, just I need a place for them. And then I have heaps of boxes to the sides over here in this junk area of things that I'm overflowing with fragrances. So yeah, I have way too many things that I need to sell.
This is still a work in progress, but I'm building out this room to have all my fragrance storage. It's a bit darker over here, but it goes around like this, and then over here, and then I'm still working on finishing this spot over here, which when I'm done, this will all be filled up too. But I'm getting there.
This is my shelf. I put fragrances in it. This is my other bookshelf. I use it for books, but now I use it for fragrances. I got stuff on top here. It's great. Bye.
So quite a few people here have mentioned that they try to store their fragrances dark, cool and dry.
which is of course very true. These 3 important rules of thumb are actually 3 of the 10 agents of deterioration. And I'd like to briefly touch upon 2 important concepts of art deterioration and preservation. On the one hand, art historians talk about inherent vice, which is not just an awesome movie, but also refers to an object's inherent tendency to deteriorate because of the fundamental instability of the components of which it's made. So deterioration within the object itself, due to the incompatible or unstable nature of the materials of which it's made, is called inherent vice, whilst deterioration caused by external forces are called external agents of deterioration. These agents of deterioration include all causes of deterioration or damage that are not derived from the structure of the materials themselves. And these 10 categories of external threat can be either physical, like breaking a ceramic vase. They can be chemical, like metal corrosion, for example. They can be sudden, destroyed in a fire, or occur over time, like gradual deterioration if they're not kept at correct temperatures. Now, these 10 agents of deterioration are, first of all, physical forces, like dropping an object, or an earthquake happens and breaks stuff. And then second of all, we have thieves, vandals, and displacers, just caused by someone with bad intent. Then we have fire, water, pests, like rodents and insects, and even mold and mildew. We have pollutants, light, incorrect temperature, and incorrect relative humidity, and custodial neglect and dissociation. If you'd like to delve into this in more detail, check out the playlist in the corner here by this knowledgeable and interesting art historian who provided me with more info on art preservation than I could ever need. Now, nobody stores fragrances as properly as the Osmothèque in Versailles does. The Osmothèque, founded in 1990 and consultable by the public, is the world's largest scent archive and is internationally responsible for the authentication, registration, preservation, documentation, and reproduction of thousands of perfumes gathered from the past 2 millennia. Now, these people from the Osmothèque act as custodians to perfume formulas that are privately entrusted to them by their owners, and they're stored in a bank vault. They also remake missing perfumes, rigorously respecting their original formulas. The Osmothèque vault is a locked room, sheltered from daylight, containing wine refrigerators. And these wine refrigerators are maintained at 12 degrees Celsius, ensuring a stable interior temperature, sheltered from any variations in the external temperature. And this vault contains more than 3,000 perfumes, 400 of which have disappeared from the market. Now, they actually transfer fragrances into bottles made of smoked glass, ensuring protection from harmful light sources. And into these bottles, they add argon, which is a neutral gas heavier than air that spreads itself across the surface of the perfume and prevents evaporation and oxidation that would otherwise be caused by the contact with air. And each perfume is also subjected to an olfactory evaluation by a team of perfumers at least once a year. And only a handful of people are allowed to access the vaults. Nothing may leave the site without permission of the president. Now, I unfortunately don't store my fragrances the way they do. I try to keep these things in mind, but as I said, I just love looking at them too much. And I want them to be easy to grab. I don't want to open boxes every time I use a fragrance. I keep my fragrances in different rooms in the house for different reasons. First of all, because it's more practical, as I don't really have a huge room that I can dedicate to fragrances alone. I keep my minis, for example, in the living room, because I don't really wear them much. They are meant mostly for display reasons and collector items. So I store them here in Amazon display cases. This big one I really love, got it quite cheaply. These do have acrylic sliding doors, which are super handy to keep out dust and dirt, but they are removable, so that is quite practical when I want to rearrange stuff or play with them and want easy access. On the other wall, I have mini display cases also available on Amazon. They're about $9 a piece. They also have little acrylic doors, so it keeps them all safe from dust and falling. And I do try to group them by category or by age or by exclusivity or worth. I just organize them in a way that I think looks nice. I have a couple that don't fit in my display cases, a couple of minis. I actually started collecting minis when I was about 12. It came along with the magazine subscription every month, the Perfume magazine. And recently I got into the mini vintage thing again. I've bought almost all of them on second-hand websites quite cheaply, which I'm always quite proud of when I find little discontinued gems for $4 or $5. This is an example of how you shouldn't store fragrances. First of all, it's in the bathroom, and yeah, I know it's not ideal, but I don't really have a better place for it right now, and I do store my designer fragrances in there that I don't really attach too much value to, and so I don't really care if they go off a little quicker. And also my bathroom is quite huge and is well ventilated, and there are window covers, so there's never any direct sunlight coming in there. This cabinet from IKEA is quite cheap and it looks good, but it's not really super practical. It's not ideal for the agent of deterioration #1, physical forces, because first of all it's quite wobbly. It's been fine so far, even when my cats jump on top of it. And it's also not ideal because there's too much space between each of the shelf things, so it doesn't really occupy the space optimally. I did solve that little problem with some acrylic things. I don't know the words for these things. Now, my main favorite cabinet is the one most easily accessible in the hallway between the bedroom and the bathroom, which is the coolest place in the house, even in the summer. It is also dark. There's not much light there. I keep my niche fragrances in here, my favorite ones on the top shelf, of course. Some other niche fragrances and some of my favorite designer fragrances on the middle shelf. And samples on the bottom shelf. And also, again, to optimize storage, because there's quite a big gap between the shelves, I did put a glass TV stand that's quite heavy on the bottom thing. I wouldn't risk putting that on the glass dividers because it might be too heavy and it might not really hold well, but the bottom shelf is metal, so it did double my storage for samples. On top of the cabinet, I store more samples. Here you see a little vintage perfume box in which I store perfume-related jewelry. I love these cork display things with an acrylic lid because no dirt ever gets in there, it looks good, and I can stack them. I put my samples in there, and in one of them I put some essential oils for reference. And I obviously had to get these test tube-ish glass things. One with a little cactus in there, and the other ones with tester strips. And on top of this cabinet are some beautiful aquarelle paintings that my sister made for me for a birthday. And in this little case on the wall, I have some vintage bottles that I really love. On the right hand side, there's a vintage Bala Versailles. And next to it in the middle, there's a Poison Esprit de Parfum and a vintage Anaïs. And on top of that is Byzance by Rocha, one I used to love wearing as a young teenager. And next to that is an old handmade bottle of Jewels of Blue by Aquaba. Lovely peach fragrance. Here in the bathroom, I keep perfume necklaces. Over here in the bedroom, I store my fragrance books with my possessed little bunny doll light in the middle keeping guard. And on top of all the books are some fake antlers with a bunch of necklaces. I like necklaces. So hey, yeah, the doll's name is Damien. He says hi and bye and Happy New Year. Cheers, everyone.